Conclude the 14th letter in this letter that's be very deep in Kabbalistic ideas that we're going to present now. Speaks about that forever, the verse, it says that forever are the eyes of God upon the land, the Holy Land of Israel, and that's what makes it holy, as we will see. From the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So why does the verse not say forever? If it's from beginning to the end of the year, so obviously it's forever. So we will come to understand that. And the uniqueness of the Holy Land, the uniqueness of time, and defining time, which is probably something none of us can do. We can measure time, but how do we define time? So every year on Rosh Hashanah, on the beginning of the year, what happens is a new light shines into this world that has never been shining in this world before. And where that light comes from is, as we explained, supreme Chachma. Chachma is the first of the divine attributes. We translate it as wisdom, not a very good translation. But it is the conduit for the Ein Sof, for the limitlessness of God. So since it's a conduit for that light which is without limitation, hence there is a possibility, or not just possibility, but in fact, every year what happens is an increased light, divine light, is introduced into this world. And now, parenthetically, what that means, or the consequence of that, he doesn't say this over here, but I just to give you a little context, that means, therefore, new things can be discovered that weren't discovered before, which is interesting. You know, animal kingdom hasn't changed at all. An animal's an animal. They don't change. They might only change because of human interaction with them that has done something to, to kind of, I don't know what the word is, bring out maybe a quality of theirs, right? So, the guy in that will train the dolphin to, you get this reward each time you're going to jump up and, flap your, to make a big show. So, you're going to, so that's only because of human training. Right. That's only because of human training. Leave the dolphin to themselves, leave animals to themselves, there's no progress. Why is there progress for humans? Or the opposite, potential either. Is because there's actually a new light that radiates every year. That new light that radiates on Rosh Hashanah every year means new opportunity. There's new opportunity. Where does that come from? Again, that's parenthetically. I'm just want to give a little context on and appreciation of what that means. So, and where is this coming from? Again, from Supreme Chachma, that is radiating the infinite light. So the infinite light of God, by way of Chachma, and we'll see further through Malchus, is since, God, the infinite light of God is got no end, so therefore it's increasing, not decreasing. So what happens is on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the previous light for the year is withdrawn. And that's why Rosh Hashanah, by the way, is on the first day of the month, because the day previous to it, the moon is covered. It's hidden. The moon represents, Kabbalistically, Malchus. Malchus is the word of God, royalty, kingship, right? kingship, the word of God. So on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the power of Malchus to animate the world is concealed. So what reveals it on Rosh Hashanah? What brings this new light? So it's dependent on us. And it's dependent on our shofar blowing on Rosh Hashanah and our prayers that elicits on high this new divine light that will bring new life, new opportunity, new discovery into the world. And it's coming from a higher place than previously. But where does it come into? Well, just as there is the heavenly earth above, which is Malchus, because Malchus is the last stop of the divine attributes, the tenth of the divine attributes. It's the bottoms, shall we say. And just as earth is the lowest, this physical world, and earth itself is the lowest of places. So it's coming by way of the Eretz Elyona, the heavenly earth, again Malchus, that radiates to the lower earth. And what is that lower earth? The land of Israel. So it infuses, it vests itself with a light of God into the land of Israel, and that's what makes it holy. And from there it's divested or diffused, or irradiates and illuminates the rest of the world. Now, as is known, to bring this idea further in the act of creation. So what happened on Rosh Hashanah? Why is the first of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, is because actually it's the sixth day of creation when Adam was created. And what happened on the day that Adam was created? He was put to sleep. And by putting him to sleep, what happened? His side, God made an excision, Nesira, excision, taking out his side, the rib. And from there, what did he do? He built Eve, right? Woman. So as the Kabbalists understand, that this echoes the whole idea that we just expressed in Kabbalistic terms. So we spoke about the light of God being hidden, and now we elicit a new light through the blowing of the shofar in our prayers on Rosh Hashanah. So this is expressed in actually what happened on that day of Rosh Hashanah. So what is hidden, or what is removed? So Adam goes to sleep. What happens when you go to sleep? Your mind doesn't work the same way, right? Your mind doesn't have control over your emotions. Your mind doesn't have control over everything, right? And that's what happened. The mind, which is referring mystically to Zoh, which means the six emotions, of supernal man. They are in slumber, withdrawn, together with the divine intelligence. And that is withdrawn in sleep, right? In order that a new divine light should be now elicited, and therefore bring what we call a sublime, more sublime intelligence, divine intelligence, that will then be vested within the divine emotions and into Malchus, which means that's the concept of building Eve or Chava. So this is actually what takes place every morning, right? What happens when we go to sleep? We go to sleep, our intelligence and our emotions are, can go crazy on us even, right? And what the crazy dreams we have. But really what it is is in order that you wake up and in the morning renewed. What does it mean you're renewed? It means that you have greater light that will be introduced into your life. And that is specifically through prayers every morning when we wake up in the morning, that we introduce a new light into the day that was not there previously. And we vest ourselves with that new light through the prayers in the morning that were more sublime than the previous day. In other words, going to sleep creates a vacuum. That vacuum now creates new potential for life, new opportunity, new progress in our lives, not the animal kingdom, not a tree it's not a new opportunity for a tree. A tree is a tree, an animal is an animal, but not us. Right? So we are listening to that every morning. So we have that in every day. In general terms, it's once a year on Rosh Hashanah. So again, this is echoed by what actually happened on Rosh Hashanah. That there was, actually, with this interesting, with, again, the slumber of Adam in order to build something new, better even. What's that? Woman. That comes as a result. So there was the vacuum that was created, him going into a slumber. That vacuum now allows for something to be introduced. It's even greater. That comes from him. It comes right. And in mystical terms, that's a metaphor for us to understand that on the eve, there's a slumber. There's no moon to be seen. It's on the eve of the new month. There's the sun, the moon is concealed, right? In order that, what should we do now? Create and bring something new into this world, a new light that has never been here before. A new year, a new light, a divine light that is introduced on Rosh Hashanah. How do we do that? So when the first Rosh Hashanah, God did it himself, right, with Adam and the building of Eve. Now it's up to us. We have to elicit that, and we do every year. Rosh Hashanah, we blow the shofar. We pray, and those prayers elicit a new life, new vitality that has never been here before. And this is the meaning of the verse that we quoted, forever are the eyes of God, your God upon it. So why the metaphor of the eyes of God? What do you mean the eyes of God? So the simple meaning, of course, is it means he's watching, right? Much more. Of course, God's watching over the Holy Land. Well, miracles that we see in the Holy Land are very obvious. Very obvious. But eyes, with your eyes you see everything at once. That is a metaphor for Chachma. Chachma is the seed of understanding, right? Bina is building, the building of that seed, right? So Chachma, the eyes rather, is a metaphor for Chachma. So the Chachma of God is from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, because again, Chachma is the conduit, the vehicle, the vessel that is the first of the divine attributes that it contains within it, the Ein Sof, the limitlessness of God, and therefore it is the conduit to introduce that through it, via Malchus, that will bring this new divine light into the world that never existed before. So that's why it says, right, Chachma. It's the vision. And that's why it says concerning the leaders of are called the eyes of the congregation, the leaders. So now this irradiates and not on the same plane that was before. So, but rather a new and a superior light that was not there before. Again, because there was a withdrawal from before, creating the vacuum, just like when we go to sleep at night, creating a vacuum, just as Adam went to sleep, and creating a vacuum that allowed now for something greater to be built from him, from his side, and in our daily way that we get rejuvenated, that now the next day becomes a new, brand new day with new light of God that shines, gives us new opportunity. So this is what happens Rosh Hashanah right on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, that the moon is not visible, and as a result, now we understand why it says from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, rather than saying endlessly, because endlessly would mean that you're just going endlessly in the same circle. But from the beginning of the year to the end of the year is this cycle of life of the year, but now a new one. Oh, so it's now in a higher plane. So it's like a spiral rather than a circle going around and around. Now it's a spiral going up and up and up. And therefore, and that's why it says from beginning of the year to the end of the year. Also, the word Reishi Hashanah, from the beginning of the year, right, is missing a letter Aleph in it, which alludes to the letter Aleph, which begins the word or, light, meaning because there's missing the light. The vacuum was created first in order that it should introduce something greater, right, on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the night of Rosh Hashanah, and then through our efforts, through our divine service, and that's the key over here. That's why the animal kingdom, they're not serving the divine, they're serving their nature, which is God created, absolutely. But it's not but an awareness of that I am here I'm here for serving the divine. This is what we need to do, and therefore it's through our divine service and sounding the shofar that descends into this world in more sublime light that has never shone into this world ever before. Ever before. And again, where does it vest itself and find itself first? In Eretz HaChaim, the land of life, which is the Holy Land of Israel. And from there, it diffuses throughout the entire world at large and animates the entire world throughout the entire year. And that begins on Rosh Hashanah, but not necessarily ends on Rosh Hashanah. That animation that brings a new life is through the 10 days of penitence, right? So, and this will suffice for the initiated to understand. So in conclusion of this idea that the sphere of Chachma, the world of Atzilus, radiates the land of Israel throughout the year in an increasing measure every year, both qualitatively and quantitatively, the light of God, right? So what the Alter Rebbe started this letter with is that to arouse and to reunite ourselves with the fondness that we have for the Holy Land. And here, what he is alluding to is that there's an increase of divine vitality that is every year becoming more and more. So therefore, we also have to respond with more and more. More what? Tzedakah, charity, and particularly to the Holy Land. To do it in an ever-increasing manner, as the Alter Rebbe was collecting funds for the Holy Land for people that were extremely destitute there. And so this is the explanation he's giving of how we can actually increase, because the light of God increases year to year. Year to year. Very powerful stuff here. So how do you define time? We know how to measure time from point A to point B, right? If you go, if you're driving 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, so it'll take you from point A to point B, that is 200 kilometers away. It's going to take you 2 hours, right? But that's a measurement. That doesn't define. Defining time is a light of God that's elicited from on high that imbues for the year, for the day, for the hour, for the minute, for the 2.5 seconds of a breath. Breathing in, breathing out. That is brought into this world and then goes back up. It goes back up. When it goes back up, it creates a vacuum that needs new vitality to come back down. But actually what it goes back up with is just like Rosh Hashanah. What goes up is our blast to the shofar, our prayers. So we actually bring something through our engagement, through our efforts, that in time, and this is the definition of time, is a light coming in, a light going back up. In, out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Right? But when we are bringing it back up, it's not coming up with just empty-handed. It's coming up with the mitzvahs that we've accomplished in that hour, in that day, in that year, in all different, measures of time. So, tick comes in a light. Talk. What's your talk? What do you give to that moment is what is going to go back up. And through that, it changes everything. So time is the vitality of God that comes into the world and then goes back. And God is creating the world every subatomic moment, something from nothing. Every minute, every hour, a different form of vitality of the light of God that enters and then goes back up. But it doesn't just merely go back up, but it comes back with a new life force, as we see from Rosh Hashanah, and we see every day. The idea of going to sleep and waking up. New life. What does it mean, new life? It means new opportunity. New things that we can discover about ourselves, about our connection to God, about our purpose. We're not stuck ever. We're never stuck. Hence this time, give me some time, I'll get over it. But time will heal wounds. But if we understand the concept that we could give something to that moment, that we could really heal and not wait passively to be healed, but we could. And this we understand now the concept of progress, because it's not, the Greek philosophers, they said, life is cyclical, and we see everything is cyclical. Been there, done that. That's why we're always looking for something new and exciting. That's a mistake. You don't have to go on vacation to find something exciting. You don't have to go do something new to find something exciting. If we understand this concept, that time is not cyclical, and therefore been there, done that, and therefore eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you shall die, because you're going in circles, you're going nowhere quickly. But if you understand you're going in a spiral, and you're going up and up, so you're going to a higher place. So yes, you're experiencing the same thing in the same point in time, but from a different place now. You're in a higher place. So you're now able to experience the exact same thing totally differently. Do you need to go anywhere? No. Just recognize that and live with this, and you understand that there's a new vibrancy, a new life. So you can experience the same old, as being brand new. For others, it's old. For you, it can be brand new. And we kind of get an inkling of that when we had a lousy day and we went to sleep and we feel refreshed in the morning. So, you get that. But it's really true. So therefore, we can always progress. We don't have to regress. We don't have to stay in the same place. That's extremely powerful. Another point that we made over here that's to pay attention to is the center of all of that light that comes into the world is the Holy Land, is Israel. And hence it's the focal point of creation in a physical sense. Right? The soul is in spirit. In space, it's the Holy Land. In time, right now it's the month of Elul, so it's Elul. That's with this we can understand when it comes to time, that everything has a unique quality to it, a specialness to it. It's not like, oh, tomorrow's a special day, but today, we'll get through it. No. If God's animating this moon right now, therefore, it's with a new light and it's special. Understand, appreciate what it is. Take ownership of it. So that's in time. So again, in space, it's the Holy Land. And we had discussion yesterday that doesn't mean, therefore, in space you go to the Holy Land. Right? It's a recognition of the uniqueness of it. That all of the divine light that enters the world enters there and then is diffused into all other space throughout the world. So some of the amazing ideas that we just discussed over here, which are extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Okay, there's a bunch of questions here that I think I saw. Let me get to it before I lose the feed. And I think, how did the sins commit affect this? I don't know what that means. Azos are on a different timetable out of the endless dimensions of ether. I don't know. Sorry, Anna, I don't understand what you're asking. How do the sins we commit affect this? They affect, what goes up doesn't necessarily, the sin keeps things down rather than going up. We want it to go up. We want it to go up. Is the light the same on Yom Kippur as on Rosh Hashanah? So Yom Kippur just kind of brings it to a completion. It begins with Rosh Hashanah, blowing the shofar, but not necessarily is the. Now with this we can understand what it means, a day of judgment. What is happening is we're listening a new light, which is new life, new opportunity for us, and that is beginning with Rosh Hashanah. The sealing of that, or the finality of it, is basically Yom Kippur. Yeah. Basically. Alan, please share with us. Alan, you got very old in your picture.
Okay. Yeah, I did get very old. I am starting to get old, Rabbi. Fine.
We're all getting older, but not old.
But not that smart yet. I'm not that smart. I'm getting old.
I don't know. Feinstein was really smart. He was extremely intelligent, but if he was very smart, he would have learned Torah. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, actually, until he was around 12 years old, he was totally into Torah. I don't know that if you're aware of this. He had a kind of break in his approach around the time that he was 12 years old. But prior to that, and it's really unclear, actually, in terms of, like, who his teachers were, who his inspirers were, but he was basically in the fold.
Okay.
Until he was
All
about
right.
12
Very
years
interesting.
old.
All right.
So
Thank you.
anyway, so what I wanted to talk about was a time having to do with verse 14 of Bereshit, of the first parent, where Hashem basically, I think, brings in time, big time, so to speak, where it says, "Vayomer Elokim yehi emerod v'raki hashamayim lahavdil ben yom v'layla v'yu la'osas v'lumoedim l'yomim v'shani." And Hashem said, "Let there be lights in the rakia, in the expanse of the Shemayim,
Right.
to separate day and night, and they should serve as signs with set times for days and years." So right here, I think Hashem is bringing in time, like really here, because Moadim, Yomim, Shani,
Right. Yes.
He's specifically bringing in the times, that will be celebrating the Chagim, etc., and days and years, very, very explicitly. Also, I think this is the first time that in the Torah that he uses the word Hayu.
I think so. I think you're correct.
And Hayu is implying the past. So the thing is, being that is mamish bringing in a term for the past, it seems that in that sentence in 14, he's really bringing in, kind of manifesting the past and the future and the present,
Right.
and times to celebrate the holidays. Anyway, this is some kind of odd things that I noticed lately in Bereshit. That's all.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Yes. So yes, and others in time, as I mentioned, there's many dimensions to time. You have a year, you have a month, you have a week, you have a day, you have in the day itself 12 hours day, 12 hours night. Let's break it down as that for just practical purposes. I mean, in Jewish law, that's the way it is. And then you have an hour, you have a minute, and then you have a part of a minute. In Jewish law, a part of a minute, there's 18 parts in a minute, which is the 18 breaths that you take in a minute. So each breath is, it's about 3 3.25 seconds, which is another dimension in time. And then, of course, you have beyond that too. So you have seasons as part of time, and all of that is the idea of a light being brought into this world that's drawn down and it goes back up. And the important message over here is that there's two dimensions in time. Actually, it's something that it's brought out. One is independent of us, and one that it's totally dependent on us. The independent one is time marches on, right? Totally independent of us. So the light that comes into this world, is introduced to this world, is totally coming from above. But that is an external form of time. The inner dimension of time is totally dependent on us. That's why Rosh Hashanah we have to blow the shofar in order to bring this new light into this world. That's why every day, in the morning, we have to pray, because that brings in this new dimension of time. But this is an internal time. This is not external. External is independent of us. Because, hey, what happens in Rosh Hashanah? Well, God no longer is animating the world. He is externally animating the world. But internally, he's waiting for us. and our divine service, our acceptance of him as king, blowing the shofar, our prayers, and on a daily basis too. What do you mean? But he's animating us anyways. He's animating us externally, but his real desire is us, and therefore waiting for our move. What's our move? Our prayers. That will then invest in us something much more profound and deeper. Let me give you a metaphor of this. You know, someone who owns a business. Yeah, it's a big business, right? So, you know, the month before the end of year, he's taking stock. Hey, that sounds like Elul. Time to take stock, right? The time we're in now. You know, and then comes on, everything is all come together. And now on the eve, he's kind of removed. Where am I going with this business? Is it fulfilling really my inner desire, really what I want? So he's kind of removed the CEO and in himself trying to figure out, how does the business move forward? Is it going to fulfill what I really want? Right? So we're talking about a real CEO over here, like God Almighty is a real CEO. Right? Most CEOs, they only have an external will, and that is money, and some more money, right? And we're talking about a real CEO now, that the money is only a means to an end. So that's external. It doesn't become an end. So is the business working? Yeah. But the real desire of the CEO is the people that work for him, that they should have something in their lives, that they should have a life, they should have a valuable life, a meaningful life. They should have a meaningful experience in their work. Not just working for money. There's a value in what they're doing, that it is bringing progress to them, bringing progress to the world, changing the world for good. That's his real desire. So that he's kind of like holding back. Has it been fulfilled this past year the way it should be? Is there a better way? So then come some of the workers and they say, Mr. CEO, we're rededicating ourselves. We're rededicating ourselves to the business at hand, because we know that we rededicate ourselves and do better, that we can achieve so much more to change this world for good. And finally, we're going to come up with the cure for cancer. Because, the CEO sees that they're really dedicating themselves, so he wants to invest even more. So he puts more money into the business. Puts more money into the business in order that, eventually, this year, new discoveries, it can bring true healing to the world and change the world for good. But where did it come from? Why did he invest? Because he saw that the people were ready to give of themselves, even more so than before. The researchers, the doctors, the scientists, they're just, eager to do their part to bring more goodness to this world. So then the CEO says, okay, you know what? I'm going to invest even more now into the corporation. So that's a metaphor, right? To bring out that God's waiting for us. Is the business running? Yeah, the business is running. But is there a greater investment? No. There will only be greater investment because God sees that we invest in our purpose and what we were created for. And therefore, we blow the shofar. We say our prayers on Rosh Hashanah. We do that on a daily basis. So God sees that we are invested in His corporation called World Inc. This low world, to change it, to bring redemption, to bring healing, to change the world for good, bring Mashiach now. Lori, you heard stories of the Ari that extend time. Yes, holy people, they're not limited by time. That's true. Very true. How does tashlich affect the light during the... All of these are all part and parcel. We're not going to go into every little detail here of tashlich and sukkis and this and that. And when the time comes, we will. A woman don't have to do tashlich. Is that no? It's a custom tashlich, and yes, women do tashlich. Okay, I think I answered everybody. Anyways, very powerful idea. Very powerful. Okay, folks. Rambam is coming up. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuchim Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have an amazing, wonderful day and a good Shabbos. Be well.